Heads up, we had a quick audio issue where we were in the middle of a pretty nasty storm and we had a little glitch in power. It knocked our microphones off for about a minute right in the middle. You'll hear that in the show. Nothing else to it. Just prepare your volume. You'll hear it. You'll notice it. Just be ready for it. Here's the show.
Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what? Yeah. You know I be on a what? Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what? Yeah.
What's up, and welcome to another exciting episode of finally getting this stupid podcast to work, also called Ride the Rebellion Podcast. We've been having lots of technical difficulties. I blame a solar eclipse and the fact that because of the solar eclipse, we're having really bad weather. Because I didn't know if you know this, but the solar eclipse is due to climate change. And with me today is the man that knows so much about solar eclipses and climate change, of Dale Boyd of Dale Boyd Climate Sports Change Management.
I actually know more about 1995 eclipses than solar eclipses.
God. Well done. That was a good tee up.
That's true.
I should have said that. That would have been funnier. Welcome to the show. We're going to do a pretty quick, concise episode because there's jam-packed things coming down the pipeline. We have an exciting guest coming up, or a pair of guests at some point relatively soon, next couple episodes. This upcoming weekend, not to date this episode, is going to be another World Classic aid station episode. If you guys didn't hear the last one, it was pretty rowdy. I don't think we have an influencer with us this time, though. A chesty one at that.
No.
Gwen won't be here. No Gwen.
Oh, no, not
It's
that
almost
one.
the same
Yeah,
time
I
frame,
forgot.
though.
It is, exactly, because
Yeah.
we take a trip right afterwards.
We always
My
take a
bad.
trip.
I was stuck in the eclipse mode. I don't know.
He's stuck in the...
It was a total eclipse in my heart.
Yep. So we'll talk about a few things. We'll just do our normal rambling thing. But first, let's talk about those people who helped make this show possible. And I'm going to start with, in no particular order, the internet's down. Nope, the internet's not down. It doesn't matter. It should still record to my computer either way and should upload later. I'm going to go with the people in no particular order. I want to give a shout out to one of our sponsors, and that would be Pro. Are they going with Pro Cycle?
Yes.
No, they've dropped all the tries.
Yeah, because it gets too confusing.
It is confusing. I'm going to give a shout out to Pro Cycle. If you guys haven't been there, they're one of my favorite local bike shops in this area. Whether you ride road or mountain, they've got you covered. They've got good stuff. But the more important part is, if you're lucky, you get to spend some time with Katie or Joseph. And if you're really lucky, you get them together and some Paps comes out.
Mm-hmm.
And if that happens, you're in for an absolutely magical time. I highly suggest you ask as many random questions as humanly possible.
And while you're in Fairhope checking out them, you can stop by and see Kevin Black with Man of War Tattoo, and for all of your tattoo needs.
Yeah, go ahead and get yourself a nice little gear tattooed on your face. Also, I'll talk about this in a minute. I'll go back to that sponsor in 1 second. I also wanted to give a shout out to Build, Tune, Ride. As always, they not local for us, but local enough for anybody, because you can always call Jody up with your questions. We've talked about the suspension side of things a lot on the show. We think it's very important. We think Jody does a great job, but also just his place is that an open event?
Yeah, the 27th.
The 27th?
Mm-hmm.
April 27th, they're having an open event. We think it's kind of a, we're calling it an unofficial Reb thing too, even though it's not. There's no affiliation directly, but those of us that listen to the podcast and hang out, a lot of us are going to be there hanging out, having a good time.
Toby will be there.
Toby's going to be there from Summit Bike Academy. So I think it would be really good if as many of us could just show up and just storm what is that place called? What's it called?
Stockyard.
Stockyard.
Yeah.
If we should just storm the Stockyard.
I thought you were going to Trojan horse it or something. I was like,
no.
we're storming the gates.
Storm the Stockyard in a good way. Like, just have a bunch of us there hanging out, having a good time. I think it would be really awesome. I'm sure Hagen will probably even be there.
Oh, yeah, Hagen will be there.
Yeah,
Hagen in there will be there.
Hagen in there.
Mm-hmm.
So a good time. Dale's ridden there. We've talked about it before. It's a lot of fun.
Really cool. Very, very cool.
I think it'll be a good.
It's like the Rebellion, but with professionals and mature adults building it.
Accurate.
Yeah,
Accurate.
Compared to some jankness.
Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's coming up on the 27th. So shout out to Build, Tune, Ride for that. And lastly, I'm going to talk about a little bit. I was recently, went on spring break with my family. I rode in Texas, and again, it was nice. It was riding trails that I've never ridden. I don't know. I know we have Texas listeners. I did not get to ride Spider Mountain. The reason why I did not ride Spider Mountain is the lift was not working. and I was told that it's fun, but you really go to Spider Mountain to ride the lift.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to drive an hour away. My family does not. My wife and girls don't outdoors at all. They're not outdoors. They're mall rats. So there's nothing for them to do. So I'm gone half the day. It's not the way it works on my spring breaks. But so I skipped that, and I was like, well, screw it. I'll just go to Reveille, whatever it is. And I got a note that was like, don't ride that solo. And so I was like, I will not ride that solo. And I remember too that John talked about that place being kind of gnarly.
Yeah.
And that sometimes things just sprung up there. Like, and then I was like, well, what does that mean? I didn't want to get into the whole thing. So I just skipped it.
Ironically, he was here last week.
Was he really?
While you were there.
No joke.
Yeah, he was here. We couldn't connect. We tried, but
was he at a car show?
No, he had to pick his wife up in Florida on their way back to Austin.
No, that's a shame.
Yeah, he stayed at Blakely though. So
did he?
Yeah, shout out Blakely.
Nice. I would have loved to ridden it, but I did ride a couple other stuff. I did Walnut Creek, which is local town trails. They're like in the middle of Austin. It's fantastic. I could have ridden there from where we were staying, which would have been fine. Austin's a super bike friendly town. I'm a little surprised we don't hear more about Austin scene simply because you have a lot around it, but the town itself is like, I mean, there's bike paths everywhere, and they're wide, and they even a lot of them have barriers so that like you're on the road, but you're buried.
I hate to be the bearer of bad news, Drew, but most cities have that. Ours does not.
Just shit stain.
Ours hates cyclists.
Yeah, we do hate cyclists.
So a lot of cities do have that, and it is nice. It's refreshing when you go to a place like that. You're like, wow, it's a place for
like
me.
I literally would just
Walt
ride. I mean, I would ride my bike everywhere. There's greenways, not like what you guys have up in Ohio, but there's greenways. It was cool. Anyway, Walnut Creek's in the city. It was amazing. If you ever have a chance to ride there, it is totally worth it because it's everything from I'm in a giant river valley to woods like we have here to kind of desert plain all in one little swoop. The trails are marked shitty. So shout out to those guys. You built great trails, but your trails are shittily marked. I think it's like Austin. I don't remember what their group is called.
Those are the FUBU trails for us, by us.
Yeah, basically. And they're like, it's spaghetti noodle trails. Yeah. Like you're just like, am I on the right one? Right. So I rode everything there, all the blacks, everything. It was fun. But then I went to, that didn't sound right. The black trails, that is. And then I went to another place called Pace. And the reason I'm bringing all this up is because the diversity of riding there was amazing on the trail. Every moment it would change. And luckily for me, I had some good training from Summit Bike Academy. Wow. Not that that's a whole long commercial, but it is a deep cut. It was true though. I mean, there were some drops and stuff. There's some rock drops that were nasty and I didn't know they were coming. There's no way to tell. So you just practice
which is learned. Also back to our old podcast, how that's one of the awesome parts about mountain biking.
Like, dude, it was
just getting that like heroin of the new trail feeling.
I had no idea. Yeah. I mean, there was a lot of stopping of like in Walnut Creek. I did stop a lot because literally you'd be crossing it and there would be like, there's a homeless problem in Austin. And so you would be riding past it and I'd be like, am I going into a homeless camp right now? Like, am I going to like have to jump over some drunk dude or get chased?
Not that ambitious. They're not going to chase you. That's why they're homeless.
Yeah, that's exactly it. So anyway, it was good times. A great place to ride your bike and eat a lot of good food, tacos and beer. And I mean, Austin's a great town. I wish I could get there more often for riding. I think it would be, if you did a group ride there, it would be amazing. Just like a big group of people. It'd be a lot of fun. It's not as bike centric as obviously Bentonville or something, but it's pretty rad.
Sweet.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about a couple of things. Going to throw some things out there into the old Dale-sphere and see what we get a chat ski on. One, we saw something and we're excited. If you've ridden at the Ruston, the hub in Ruston, we did a video for them, paid gig, and we did a nice video for them. If you've ridden at the hub in Ruston, I'd love to know what your thoughts were. There was a really cool post that was going around of like somebody just said all they heard was yeehaws and yipping and hollering in the woods. And that is a good feeling if somebody's having that much fun. And that got me thinking about a lot of stuff. Like if you look at Ruston, what's happening there, if you look at Bogachito to some extent, it's a little more remote. Ruston is not, it's a city park. And then you look at what I rode in Walnut, and I know there's some other stuff like even back home where you were from. It just makes me wonder, like, how many of us have city park places to ride that are fun and have a little bit of treachery to them, not all just sanitized and like what is that like? And how do we park area? Like how many of our riders are in that space, riding in that? I don't know. I mean, what is your take on city park riding versus always having to go so remote to do all that stuff?
I rode a place in Hoover, Alabama as well, right next to the Met that is like in the middle of suburbia. And they had a custom trail builder come in and build some really awesome, gnarly stuff. And it's not overly long, but it gets you on your bike and it gets you like flying downhill. And it's crazy. It
It
was
was
really,
like 5 miles though, right?
yeah, it was like 5. I mean, we rode it up. Yeah, you could probably ride more miles than that now. And I think that they've done some more stuff there, but there was like rock jumps and things like that. So it was like a good mixture of everything. I have I'm partial to the like let's go out here into the middle of nowhere and be on our bikes though. Like I do love the city. I mean, I go to a city park and run every single day. So and we've talked about that place and I actually
Oh,
explored the options further this week. So
it's crazy, right? You
yeah,
start seeing things
yeah,
differently.
no, I walked. So instead of running, I walked and I could see like, oh, wow, there's
There's
possibility
an
here.
actual line here.
Yeah. So
Rustin helped me see it
yeah,
that way.
there's I think that city municipalities could be more creative in their land use. Sometimes they just like plow all the trees over and then they just put baseball fields in.
Yep.
And it's like, well, that could have been done a little bit different. But
even looking at like, if you look at real concise, even if it's just single track, like XE-ish type stuff, even then there's some fun stuff like in this particular park that you're referring to. There's a lot of wasted land.
Yes.
Now there's some trails through there. Fine. Keep those as general purpose. Bikes stay off of it. Plus you're going to eat your,
it is crazy to me, and not to interrupt, I will
that's what you
interrupt,
do.
but
That's what he does.
That's what I do. But like I know that disc golf is really popular, but it seems like that's like every community's like go to, like, oh, we got to put a disc golf course in. It's like, okay, but are they
cost for cost though?
It's probably cheaper.
No, I think it's going to be more expensive because you have to clear a whole bigger spot, right? I'm not saying that building dirt jumps and what they have at Ruston, that's expensive.
Yes.
But if they were to come to us and we had permission to go to a park and they're like, yeah, you guys can build some single track. Cool. I know exactly where I'd start. We would cut in some single track. It would not be the world's widest track ever.
Right.
And we would add to it as we went, right? That cost is less than, you got to buy all those baskets. You got to do all, and it takes up a tremendous amount of land, whereas ours can weave back and forth and at least create other stuff. I just thought it was interesting that more city parks and city municipalities they make bike trails that are paths.
Yes.
And there's a huge difference. Instead of like, make some bike trails for other people, because if nothing else, at least it's somewhere to ride.
Yeah, it's really hard though, because you know what their goal is, heads and beds, right? Like tourism instead of quality of life, like local quality of life. So they don't realize that they could get reelected on quality of life.
Yeah.
Like they're worried about revenue and how we're going to generate revenue. Right. Where if you took what they did in Ruston or Bogue Chitto, like the way that Toby has helped develop all that, you're getting people in heads and beds, and you're 100%. and you're increasing the quality of life. So it's like there's a blueprint. I think that we get frustrated because of the government that we're attached to.
Yeah.
Our local government is very old school and closed minded, so they don't see the bigger picture. They only see like what's
Mardi Gras.
Yeah, Mardi Gras and Mardi Gras.
Yeah, I mean,
that's it.
So if you think about this, the thing that's interesting about any of these mountain bike things, just looking at it, that I think more people could rally on. I'm going to propose something really heinous in a second, and I'm not advocating it, but I'm going to say it. But a lot of it is they focus on this one idea of, in the case of where we live, Mardi Gras. That's their big revenue generator. The problem is, to your point, quality of life stuff. Well, suddenly, I'm not saying mountain biking is going to, but athleticism will attract a better type of employee. So down the road, as you have more people who are athletic and care about they're going to care about their work ethic. That's just proven with studies. So instead of thinking like massive, huge dumps of money that come in during Mardi Gras, which is 2 weeks of like, they make a ton of money. Think about if you spread that out over the course of a year as well. And so it's not just one fall thing. It's crazy. One thing that I've started doing, because I do a lot of these urban rides now, and I can't help it, it's just the way it is I've started finding, and I might have done a little work on some rogue trails, just because I don't give a shit. No one's going to, until I get caught.
Yeah, they're not.
Like, and even this, no one's listening to it, so who cares? But I've started finding like legitimate rogue trails. There's some really wacky ones. And then there's some spaces where I kind of want to get Jakey Poo and be like, Jake, and just walk him towards it and then turn him loose, and he will and just start cutting shit. Because there's some property that is completely untouched that I don't even know who owns it. I don't even really care. I'm just gonna cut a trail in it.
Right.
I'm just gonna go through it. And I'm not saying that that's right or wrong. It's just that if our city is not going to supply us with a greenway or a green belt, I'm going to find my own way of doing it. And if I can interconnect a bunch of these trails, it'd be rad as shit to go riding.
That was what happened in Tallahassee when we were there.
That's that Coles thing, right?
Yeah, the Tallahassee. Like, we're staying at the hotel, and Nixon was like, "Hey, you guys want to get to the trails?" And we were like, "Yeah, but we don't want to drive." He was like, "Yeah, it's fine. Just go in the trail right behind Coles." And like, it literally is straight. And it felt like the stuff that you're riding through, the Japanese garden stuff, because it was like you're urban, and then all of a sudden you're on single track, and then you're back on urban, and then you're back on single track, and then you're on their trail system. And it was like, oh, this is awesome. And that to me, I like that ability to get around town and not cross a ton of roads and be riding on roads. You are right, there is a ton in Mobile, and I know a guy I can hook you up with if he knows every single back trail ride.
That's what I want
through the urban. He knows all of them.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like the reason I bring it up is I love parks and I love all the organization, I love all that, but the thing that I miss now is like riding the same park over and over again. I miss I will always chase exploration back to early pod days.
Right.
And some of those are like exploring a new trail or finding one. One of them I just need to go blow off again because it's there and no one rides it. It's just hidden back in the, and some other stuff get cut. But I think the idea is I'm not advocating for rogue trails because we're very much, but I am advocating for like, look, if it's there already, I'm just going to enhance it.
We are the rebellion.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I can't help it. Yeah, you're right. I wouldn't do this on someone's land that is like, if you know who owns that land.
A lot of these lands are owned by places that are just trying to hold on to it to make money off of it in the future, or they're using it as collateral for other investments that they're doing. So,
and I definitely wouldn't build real big gnarly shit.
No, just
that'll
build a bypass trail to get through.
Bypass trail, something fun. So instead of just riding the road, I think it would go a long way. That's one part of it. Two, I wanted to talk about this. Speaking of trails, we obviously went through. We had a nice kind of easy winter this year, and nothing major happened, no storm wise. But our trails were absolutely disgusting. And so one of the things that I think is overlooked, that is a call out I just wanted to bring up on this, was that it's our responsibility as riders, whether you're a member of IMBA, SORBA, DORBA, NORBA, I don't give a shit what it is. You're a REB member or not. I'm calling them all out. It is your responsibility, is our responsibility to help maintain those trails as people who ride freaking bikes. And I think it's really dumb. And you did a great job. And I'm guilty of being one of the stupid idiots. You did a great job recently. Like, hey guys, these trails need blown off. If nothing else, show up. And then suddenly an army of ants showed up and all the trails got blown off. Now they need to get done again because we have this epic storm destroying the city of Mobile. Right. We have tornado watch and all this shit. But point is like, I think there's a kind of nasty mentality that exists that trail days, and this also, I'm calling out some trail bosses. It ain't just about building your shit either. You need guys to you need to realize that getting mad, the no dig, no ride shit, fuck you. You need to realize that at the end of the day, some people need to just come out and just do some basic blowing and trimming. Right. That's it. And you can ask anyone to do that. It's not dangerous. Right. There's no IMBA class for a blower.
No.
Chainsaw, yes. Blower, no.
No, I think that is something that we sometimes forget, is that we are not trail building clubs like our IMBA chapters.
No.
In our IMBA, people, the soft member sometimes forgets, like, these people don't have chainsaws. They're not like, that's what we are for.
Right.
That's what, like, the more advocate, like, we are a social club.
Yep.
And all IMBA chapters need to understand this. We are a social bicycle club. Nobody joined your IMBA chapter to build a trail.
Nope.
That's 100% the truth. Are there people in your IMBA chapter that will help you build a trail or help you on the trails? Absolutely. Yeah. Find those people and invest in those people in your future going forward.
Yep.
But don't expect people,
no way.
Especially don't expect, sometimes it's better to not have those people that are, because they'll just stand around and get in the way, and you're not going to have anything
on a building day.
Yeah, on a work day.
Yeah.
And like, sometimes I get so frustrated. I see like, oh, this trail building day is going to be where we make all the decisions for the whole chapter. Well, the chapter isn't run by trail builders.
That's right.
Make the chapter more accessible to people at a social event.
Yep.
It's super easy. Like, that's all I do is social events at this point. Our club is not a trail building club. It's a social club.
100%.
That's.
I think it
I
goes.
mean, oh wait, let me rephrase that. The Ride the Rebellion is a trail building club.
Yes, correct.
The Samba Imba chapter is
Yeah.
is a social club.
And I think that's the thing that I was getting to is like, if we all know it's our responsibility to at least trim those.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the slappers you can get with some shears and a pocket knife,
Or just break them off.
or break them off,
Whatever.
and then move a log out of the effing trail instead of like, I couldn't get over it. Who cares about your stupid PR? If there's a log in the trail, somebody else could benefit. Blowing the trails off. That's not just at the Reb. That's anywhere, right? Now, there's some rules and regulations. You better check with some people. I don't know how chasing shit is up at Oak Mountain.
Whoa.
That was a lightning strike. We're on battery power, baby.
Flickers.
I don't know how Chase is up there. Maybe he doesn't allow that. Maybe you're not supposed to blow the trail. So check with your whatever trail place you are, but at least ask and get out there and blow them. If they try and recruit you for trail work and you don't want to do it, F them. Don't do it. Just be like, no, I just want to blow the trails.
And don't.
And if
feel
they
bad
shame
about
you,
it.
screw them. They're jackasses.
Right.
And I'm calling everybody out on it across the board.
Right.
The guiltiness of trying to guilt people into doing trail work is a joke. It's stupid and it's dangerous because at the end of the day, I'm not trusting those people's work because they don't want to be there.
Right.
Bigger part of this, my real big rant was just contribute to the trails, not with just money. Contribute to the trails by actually putting in a little bit of effort. You don't have to build anything. Just blow off the trails, trim the trails, spend 5 minutes picking up trash around the freaking trails. That will go a long way.
It's super easy too. And the funny thing is we're like, we're not a trail building club, do some trail work. Like
trail work's different than trail building.
It is. It's like, the problem is I feel like there's a sense of entitlement. Like, I have a bike and I paid for my IMBA chapter,
right?
And these trails should be taken care of when I show up. I always think it's funny when people show up and they're like, man, the trails are in great shape. Yeah, because we take care of them.
Right.
Like it's not, and it's not, and I say we, and it's not me personally. There's other people in the chapter that step up and do things. And it's like,
yeah, shout out to Sam Adams here locally.
Yeah, Samuel does a great job. Bo Stacy does a lot of work.
Absolutely.
There's these guys that just take their time, and they like it. And that's the people you invest in.
I don't think anybody is in love with the idea of it, but they don't mind doing it, right?
No,
because they know the output.
It's the same thing we get when
That's
we build a
exactly
trail. It's the happiness I see as somebody riding it, or
That's
like
exactly right.
somebody got a PR because I blew the trail off. Cool. But there is a time though, do check with your local restrictions because not everybody blows trails off. We do here because it's sand and pine straw and it's like death.
It is. It's super, especially like the leaves. We have these big oak trees and they drop leaves. It's brown ice. Yeah. You're sliding all over the place. And I don't care what kind of tire you have. You're still going to slide.
A lot of times you can get away with, if you're time crunched, you have a battery blower or something, you don't want to die. You can blow corners off and leave the straightaways covered because you're not turning on them. But just keep in mind that everybody's using them. There's all different types of people using them. There's runners, there's cyclists. So, it is nice to have the roots cleaned off for runners.
It's not just us. Right. There's no runners that listen to the show per se, but I would love for them to happen.
Great. I've tried. Trust me. I've tried to get the trail runners on board.
I know.
But
that's like trying to get horse people. They're just like, well, my horse poops where it wants to poop. And I'd be like, well, so did I. And you stepped in it. Human feces.
Yeah, it sucks to
Hope you're happy.
Huh? Hey, I got something I was going to bring up.
Go ahead. Here it is.
So it's not a rant. I'm actually being cool for once. I'm not ranting. No one wants to hear my opinions over and over again.
Being cool.
What is something that you're deficient at on a bicycle?
Yes.
And how do you want to get better at it? Or how have you tried to get better? Because I've been exploring these options lately.
No, that's interesting.
Without classes, like something that you know that you do often.
PRs, and to some extent.
PRs or whatever you think that you're deficient in riding that you want to be better at.
I think for me lately, mine has been about endurance. And so I've been putting in a lot more endurance miles. The past 2 weeks, I've done 50 miles a week, which is pretty good for my work schedule. I don't have a normal life or work schedule. I mean, it's crazy. You're part of it somewhat. So part of mine's been endurance so that when I go ride other places, I'm more physically fit to do that. But my endurance is not just like road riding type stuff.
Yeah.
Everything I do has to have other elements so that I stay bike handling. I say I want to get better at jumping, but I just don't care. Mm-hmm. I say it because it's part of our culture to care about, if I'm being really candid, jumping and gnarly drops and rocks and looking cool on the bike. I don't care about any of it. Mine is right now, my focus is 100% based on endurance and fitness, and bike handling to that extent. Yeah. I'm more interested in turning and whipping turns than I am sending it. Yeah. Because I want to be able to power through shit and have fun. So Mine has been just a progress. That's where the riding alone came in.
Mhm.
Is I just have goals I'm trying to hit. There's a hill I sprint at South all the time. I've yet to make it to the top on the sprint because
Mhm.
it's usually at the end of a ride, and I've not made it to the top because it's the one that's on University up that hill.
Oh yeah.
And I try and sprint all the way up. I get about 75%, and then my legs are they're
Mhm.
gassed, and I still have like 5 miles to ride, but I still try that one regularly. So it's things like that. I set little metrics. I don't use PRs in the regular sense. I don't care what speed I'm going.
Right.
Mine's just about endurance on that side. What about you?
Cool. Recently, like I want to get better at cornering.
Yeah.
So, and I understand I've taken Summit Bike Academy. I know how the body bike separation stuff, but when you're doing Mach 6 on a downhill, you're not thinking about that. So like I've been watching videos and like trying to consciously think about it when I'm riding, how I can get better at cornering, because that's where the speed's made up.
Yeah.
Like in the straightaways, everybody's kind of equal.
Yeah.
In the corners is where the people's, the separations
100%.
made. So I think that's uh-oh.
Hey, see, live on the air, tornado. 12:30
to the twister.
They must be here.
Uh-oh. Oh boy,
Wow.
we are in the center of it. Right meow.
Is it really?
Yeah, look, we're in the center of the tornado.
Delightful.
All right.
Well, I mean, we don't have a lot of windows. We have one window.
Yeah, we're fine.
And we're on the top floor. So, I mean, if we get sucked away, you guys saw it here first. Oh, Jesus. Yeah, that's
bad.
That's bad.
Yeah.
A little break.
But just real quick in between that, in case we get cut off, I think if there's something that you're struggling with on the bike, make it a point to get better at it. Find a way to get better at it. Talk to people that are better than you at it. Don't be too proud to say, hey, dude, you're really good at this. Can you show me how to do it?
100%.
Or, like work with somebody that's at your level. Don't try to like bully people and be like, I'm better than you, I'll show you how to do it. Like, that's not it. And I think I have a hard time sometimes because people will talk about their fear of doing something. I'll be like, oh, it's easy, just do it. And I do that a lot, and I know I do. And
let me tell you
shout
about
out
Dale
Carrie.
Boyd trail speed.
Yeah.
Dale Boyd trail speed is not real.
No, I know. And I do it a lot, and it's not a conscious thing. Like, I don't do it consciously.
You're not being a dick.
No,
you're not a dick about it.
Yeah. I know I used to do it to Carrie a lot, and I apologize, Carrie, because I did. What's easy for me is not easy for other people, or vice versa.
Well, just in physics, minus your speed a bit.
Yeah.
The fact that your bike and your body is so much longer, like me and Carrie, similar height, right? We're stubbies. And so compared to you, so when we push that bike out, even if we're trying to reach, you get an extra 3 feet off of what we're reaching for. Not to say it's wrong, but I get it. I mean, the trail speed thing is a real scenario. However, I do think it's good to be encouraging.
Yeah.
But I have observed you in kindness back to you. I have observed you say that, catch yourself, but also realize that maybe that wasn't the right spot. There are times what we don't know when you go to the trail, if it becomes that bro bullshit and you push someone you don't know where they are mentally. Mm-hmm. You don't know where they are physically. We don't know. Like, I have a bad knee. I'm conscious of it. If I don't hit something just right, sometimes it starts to hurt. You don't know that stuff, right? I'm not telling you all those things. I don't tell you.
And if you do tell me, I'm gonna be like, shut the fuck up.
That's
I
exactly
don't care.
right. That's right. You don't care, but I could be super preoccupied with work or whatever's in life. So I think it's important to not push, but to encourage. Mm-hmm. I think that's great, but not discourage if they decide not to do it. I think that's one of the scenarios.
And always ride within your skill set. Yeah. Don't ride above it, because you're going to end up on a Friday Fails video.
So then how do you push towards that? I hear
so
that.
Like,
so how do you push marginally?
Yeah. So like just incrementally grow. Like, don't go from, hey, I just hit this 4-foot drop to now I'm going to hit the 10-footer.
Right.
That's why there's steps to get there. You know, like you were barely comfortable 5 minutes ago hitting the 4-footer. Right. You're not ready for the next step.
Yeah,
and I think that's a great. I think that's what happens a lot. Is they're like, "Oh, I hit that, I can do that." Like,
I wonder if it's more common with male riders than female riders,
especially if there's more dudes there. For sure,
because we definitely get all.
But the funny thing is, I do more dangerous things by myself, which is the dumbest thing ever. But it's because my ego's so big that I'm like, dude, I better be able to do this now because I'm about to show off in front of people.
At least
That's
you
the
know.
most candid I can be about it.
No, at least you're honest about it. I mean, look, there's a gap that we have out at the Reb that for a long time I hit at Del Boy trail speed, cased the shit out of it, realized that like Del Boy trail speed is different than Drew Hall trail speed, made some adjustments. Now I hit it all the time, but it's part of when I do a big loop. I'm part of my big ride loop. If I end up at the Reb side of things, that trail is part of my regular riding cycle to hit that gap.
Right.
So that no matter how tired, I might be on mile 15, I'm still ready enough in my brain to keep that energy. And now I get further and further down. So like instead of being closer to the wood, I'm closer to the black part of the carpet that's sticking out. And I can feel it. And once you understand it. But it was like pushing myself and making it a routine to do that kind of stuff safely and controlled. That's not to say you crashed pretty gnarly right around there. Did you not?
Yeah.
Right. So you're a guy that hits that all the time. You built the damn thing.
Yeah.
It's not to say that things aren't going to go wrong sometimes, but you're trying to mitigate that, right?
Yeah, and you can do it through video, like learning the skills that you need to do it.
Yep.
You can do it with your friends, like learning how to do it with them.
Yep.
They can show you. You can watch. You can video yourself doing a smaller version and figure out where it's up.
I'm sorry. It just occurred to me when you were telling that, and then Todd asked you guys to help him jump.
Oh, we just made fun of him the whole time. Sorry, Todd. Yeah, he's like, "Hey guys, will you guys show me?" Yeah, we'll show you. And then of course we're like pre-video, we're watching it before we show him, and we're just laughing like, "Look at him, he's so dumb. Why is he doing it like that?"
Good.
But it's great. But
it did help him.
You did help him, and it makes him more conscious of it when he rides now. The fact that he was bunny hopping off of every jump instead.
Yeah, I mean, you would see him get close to the lip, and he would already be jumping. He wasn't preloading. He was bunny hopping
off. And I think there's another dynamic there though, because we have a closer relationship. You know, like there's a different dynamic you can approach with different people.
Well, did anybody hit that new Jakey Poo Gap situation?
No. That's where somebody goes to die.
It's something we show up and there was how many feet? Was it 12 feet?
Every bit. It's 2 of my bike lengths. So
yeah, so it's almost 12, 13 feet gap. That
not
just
in a straightaway.
Not in a spot where there's speed. It just randomly showed up. I just was curious. We were laughing because Todd and I were both like, I'm definitely not even going to risk it.
I don't have any desire to.
There's none.
I mean, more power to him if he does it, but I still haven't seen any tire tracks on it. So I think it's one of those traps. Like he built something crazy to see what we would all do, and then be like, "Oh well, I guess no one's gonna hit it. I guess I'll fix it."
That's the best. You pussies couldn't hit.
Well, I told Pat. I said, "Hey, you know what that was? That was Jake without supervision.
That's 100%.
We have to supervise his build."
That's his buddy, his green buddy came to town, and then he was out there by himself with some sticks and a shovel, and is what you get.
Hey, but if you have friends like that, give them all if they want a trail build.
Yeah, that's
trail build. He's the no dig no ride guy of our group. So
100%.
There you go. He's just digging, and you still can't ride it.
That's right.
So there's the dig no ride.
Every once in a while he'll hit a great one. We still ride some of his trails. That's a good thing. I wonder if anybody else has got one. If anybody else, I know that we've had a lot of newer riders show up at various things. Some of these guys I know have some skills, but some of the other ones are newer riders, and I've heard stories that they're taking on like these pretty epic. They're going after some really epic trails, and it's kind of like, hey, that's great. Push yourself to where you're comfortable, but don't fall prey to because again, we've talked about this before, like so much of this business is marketed towards you, and it's just like common cell videos are the best.
Yeah. There's a lot.
Do I want to shred like them? Absolutely. Is that reality? Negative. Ghost Rider pattern is full. Not going to happen.
That's right.
And even if in my brain, it's one of those memes of like me, and it cuts to like that. There's that classic shot that's recirculating of Jackson where at that rampage where he hits that drop into a berm and he whips that burn. He corners it so hard. It's incredible, right? That is brutally difficult and extremely dangerous.
I've been trying to do it.
Right. So like you're talking about somebody that gets paid to do that. Their job is to make it look easy. You remember when Tony Hawk hit it like in the first 900 and it was like, oh, right. A few years later, some more people can hit it. But at the first, that was brutal.
Right.
I guess my point is like we're marketed to that stuff.
Exactly.
You're not going to hit that point yet. I'm not saying you can't.
Right.
But all those guys went through a long process. All you're seeing is peak. You didn't see the mountain they climbed to get there. You're just seeing them standing on the peak. And you won't see the mountain of them going down because they just that fast are replaced. So just keep that in mind. Like don't kill yourself to try and look cool. Just be yourself.
I mean, I do everything to look cool.
I know you're the exception to that statement.
but I know where my limits are. I know when to say when.
Yeah.
Except for drinking.
Yeah, we all have that problem from time to time. Yeah, I guess that's it. I guess that was the Ramble Built show.
We have so much going on in our world right now in our orbit that like it's when I said we have to record, I was like, oh, man, I've got my brain's going a million places right now. So I hope y'all appreciate us taking. I mean, like we don't owe you anything. You don't owe us anything, but it takes a lot of time for us to do this. A lot more time than just an hour
because we had all these technical issues that you'll probably notice throughout the cut. But whatever, is what it is.
I mean, maybe it's our last if we get sucked away.
Yeah, that's
not a good joke actually with my current home life.
Yeah,
not my home life, but my home in Ohio. Shout out.
That sounded like a.
Yeah, it sounded like KC sucks. Not literally.
And this has been Awkward Chat with Drew and Dale. Well, I think with that said, the only other thing that we need to shout out is Aaron at Run and Try. We did not put him in the sponsor rule, and I remembered it right when I was going through it. And I did want to shout out again, because of the amount of cross training I'm doing, the amount of cross training he's doing, the amount of whatever it may be that you're into. I can't suggest it enough. I logged something like 15,000 steps every day in Austin, and I was lucky enough to be wearing those new Topos. They did great. They did fantastic. But just the idea of being able to like get shoes that fit properly. We do all this with Bike Fit. We care about all this. I mean, to some extent, Dale doesn't, but we do a lot of Bike Fit. I mean, you still fit the bike to yourself.
Oh, yeah.
We do Bike Fit. We do all these things. Just think about the same thing with your shoes, no matter what you're doing, whether it's exercise or whatever. And just something to think about. So if you have not, or you're local and you have not been by, head over to Run and Try, or you can visit runandtry.com, but head over there and at least talk to Aaron and give him a chance.
And if you're listening to this Friday, April 12th, we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, right.
At the Skyway Epic AIDS Station.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of the show. Just remember what Dale Boyd says.
We got to get off the second floor, Tornadoes.
Man on a mission, I'ma get it. You know I be on a what? Yeah.